So that's a lot about projects. There's also a lot of policies that we want to talk about. So finding places, particularly heavy pedestrian intersections, where we prohibit right on red. A lot of those conflicts that you saw Kevin show the pictures of the gentleman negotiating with the driver. If we eliminate rights on red, those are the right turners, even though that was a left turn, the right turners are usually the ones that aren't looking the direction they're turning, and they create a real hazard for pedestrians that are crossing even when there's heavy pedestrian movements. So finding the right places, doing no right turn on red. Kind of a no-brainer, but don't block the box sign. This is something that the city's already started to implement in Midtown, and that we think has a lot of applicability and utility throughout Midtown. And believe it or not, these are pretty effective. They tend to work reasonably well in places where they're put in. A district-wide speed limit of 25 miles per hour. Kevin mentioned the idea of enforcement, and so enforcement won't get you to people driving 25 miles per hour, but the kinds of lane repurposing, addition of crosswalks, addition of pedestrians in areas and comfort that they have in places they aren't now, these are the kinds of cues that tell drivers that driving more slowly is expected of them. And so setting the speed limits to correlate with the speeds that we're expecting people to drive is one of the things that we're proposing to happen throughout Midtown. This is a walkable place. It is a place where we're inviting pedestrians to be. We know statistically that getting hit by a car as a pedestrian going faster than that, your chances of surviving are very low. So if we're inviting pedestrians to be here, and we should expect them to be safe, and they should expect cars to be driving at a safe speed to and through this district. Looking at a lot of our parking strategies, finding incentivized or market-supported ways to create less but smarter parking. So things like changing the zoning so that parking isn't required, that we can decide if parking is needed on a case-by-case basis. Unbundling parking, meaning that when you buy a home or rent an office, we aren't shoving a parking space with you. They're priced separately, and you can decide whether you need that space or not. These are all the kinds of tools that we can look at with parking that studies have shown take down the amount of land that's used for parking and take down the number of people that are driving, because the parking isn't sort of so prevalent and easy and cheap for them to use. It just lets the market have a stronger hand in taking those numbers down and changing those incentives. There are also more proactive ways that we can impact travel demand. So things that Midtown already does, like subsidizing transit passes, are things that other cities and districts do at an even greater basis and that have effectiveness. There are things that we can do with the pricing of parking to affect the way that people use them and to create dollars. And so these are all the kinds of things that are options for Midtown that we can look at as the options for moving around increase. And as people have more options, giving people more incentive to use those options are things that a lot of communities find make sense for them financially. Strengthening regulations and clarity about sidewalk closures and lane closures. Where are they? When are they allowed? How long are you allowed to have them stay this same way is something that I think is a common sense thing that people talk about and want to have happen. Traffic signal optimization for cars and for pedestrians, making sure that you can get around and use the system, and something that we think has a lot of promise and potential.